Recently, I've been watching a lot of journal construction videos. Inspired by Shannon Green, Artzology, Gina Ahrens, and Sea Lemon, I decided to do something I've been wanting to do for a long time. Turn an old family songbook into a watercolor art journal. I follow Sea Lemon's instructions on how to make book cloth and am inspired by Gina Ahrens' big art journal, Artzology, and Shannon's methods for stitching and binding the signatures. You can find links to their videos in the description box below. This is part one of a two-part video series where I deconstruct the songbook and recover it with Tim Holtz's Eclectic Elements fabrics. I am so happy with the results. Part two will cover creating the signatures and attaching them to the cover.
Hi there. I have something that I want to share with you. A part of my style seems to be ongoing projects and starting a new one every time I get inspired. So I just continually have a lot going. A part of that is that I like to create a little bit of art every day. So sometimes, while one project is still in progress, I'm off on another one, and that's what's happening here. I went shopping last year at a store near here, and it was a quilt shop, and they had a book that they had altered, and they covered the cover with it, and they put watercolor paper in it, and it was just fabulous. I wanted that book so bad, but it cost over $40, and it was worth it. I picked that book up, I set it down. I picked that book up, I set it down. Eventually, common sense won, and I didn't buy it, but I wish I would have. However, I've been watching Shannon Green's. She has a lot of videos out now where she's been altering her junk journals. This is not going to be a junk journal, but just watching those videos made me think about that altered book that was converted into a watercolor journal. And I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start it. I also want to say that Gina Ahrens inspires me a lot. She has a large, I believe she made it out of 12 by 12, and I think she has it as a class on her Crazy Island University. I haven't taken the class, but I've seen her work in this watercolor journal, and it's just fabulous. I really like it, and I like the process that she does. Well, I don't want a 12 by 12. It's just a little bit too large for me. I want to mention a video by Sea Lemon, where Sea Lemon has a lot of videos on how to bind journals and just on creating art journals in general. And I've been out there watching those. She has a video out there on creating what she calls book cover fabric, I believe. But it's where she takes fabric and conditions it and prepares it to be glued onto the cover of a journal that you're creating. And I'll put a link to all three of those sites out there where I've been inspired. The book that I've chosen is one that I've had around for quite a while. It's a family songbook, and I bought it for the purpose of art journaling. They're just songs that we grew up with. On Top of Old Smoky, September in the Rain, Too Marvelous for Words, April in Paris. A lot of I Get a Kick Out of You. That would make a great art journal page, wouldn't it? This journal is bound kind of interesting. It's got this clamp wire binding, and then on the outside of a few, was it last year or the year before last, Tim Holtz came out with his fabrics. Actually, I'm going to use these. I want the ABC here. So I want the ABC to come here. This is going to be, because I only got, what, a fat quarter or 9 inches of this, approximately 9 inches, and it's not wide enough to cover both sides of the book, but I will have enough if I combine them. And let's just fold this in like this. Something like this. And I'm not sure that I like this brown here in this combination. I've been debating whether I'm going to leave it or put this fabric right up close to it. And I am going to press this fabric. I'll do that offline. I'm just showing you what I'm going to cover it with. But on Sea Lemon's video, how she makes this book cover fabric, is she takes a piece of cotton fabric, and I think that she used Heat and Bond. I have Steam Seal 2 and Wonder Under. So these are what I'll probably use my Wonder Under because it's in a long row. And you put it on, you press your fabric flat and smooth and nice, and then you put your Wonder Under as a sheet on here. I'm going to use a paper towel here for demonstration, but you have a tissue paper that you put on top of that. That will seal this cloth enough so that when you go to put it on the cover of your book, when you collage it down, ooh, I like that. That tissue paper will be on the underside, and then I'll be using Yes Paste to apply the fabric to the cover of my book. Now I may take, since this is obviously it's a cloth book, but it's got a glossy finish to it. It's been prepared to be handled a lot. So I may sand this or gesso this before I attach my fabric to it. I'll open these clamps while I'm talking to you. I was thinking that I would dedicate the book to one theme, such as all flowers or all faces, or I was thinking, I don't want to do my commonplace drawings because I want to keep those in my commonplace drawings art journal that I'm creating. But I was thinking vegetables, like if I practice doing fruits and vegetables, only do that in here.
Okay, so what I'm doing here is deconstructing the songbook. I really like that wire clamp in there. I'm able to keep all the music pages bound in that book. I'm going to use them in another art journal project. Now these end papers were really on the inside, the front and back end papers. It was really interesting how they bound that. So I'm cutting off the sprockets on both sides. They covered the spine with it and were hooked into that clamp. So I decided I didn't need that, so I'm trimming away the sprockets so that my book will set nice and flat. I'll have to touch up some of the inside there. Now I'm sanding down the front of the book cover, just roughing it up because I'm going to apply some gesso to it. Just preparing it to receive that gesso. I'm kind of wiping away all the little sandy spots. This is the first coat of gesso. This is a tinted gesso that I used when I did my wallpaper art journal. That's okay. This is all going to be on the inside. It won't show. Putting on the first coat, cleaning off the gesso that kind of settles in the grooves there. Drying it up, getting ready for the second coat. The second coat really covers those that green paint and those green flowers. The reason I'm gessoing it is so that the fabric will have something to hold on to when I glue the fabric down to the book cover. Now I found that if this is a fat quarter, this is French script, Tim Holtz French script eclectic fabric, and the other, what I'm working with now that I'm going to put on the spine, is called Stamps, I believe. It's typography, printer's blocks. I really like it. So I'm just kind of measuring out my fabric, and here I'm getting ready to glue it. The fabric has been prepared according to C. Lemon's book cloth video, where I used Wonder Under to iron a tissue down to the fabric. It just gives the book cover something to hold on to. The back, I really do like it. It really worked nice. I followed her. There's a link to her video in the description box below. Now I'm doing the spine, measuring it out, making a nice clean seam there with my yes paste. And I'm putting the spine on a section at a time, mark off where it's going to fit, make sure that I have plenty of yes paste in those grooves for that fabric to hold on to. I use my bone folder to make sure the fabric gets glued down into the groove there on both sides, doing it a section at a time. It's really turning out nice. I'm really liking what's happening here. Little bit undecided about whether I wanted the brown ends of that spine to show. I'll talk about that later. Here I'm just trimming off the inside margins of the fabric. I trim it off so that I have an inch of fabric. That might be a little bit too much, but I'd rather have more fabric to work with than not enough. See, I have about an inch there of margin. And I will say that I followed C. Lemon's instructions on covering an art journal, and it worked really well. I think this is one of the few times that I've done really clean book corners that I'm proud of. Usually I end up putting metal book corners on them to cover them up, but I think they turned out really good this time. Making sure that I get a lot of glue along the border here. That yes paste is a book binding paste, so it really holds. I'm trying to use up what I have. I'm doing all four sides, trimming the borders away and folding in those corners. Keeping my hands as clean as possible between each time. I find that it really does help. I'm not usually that paranoid about keeping my hands clean between steps of a project, but when you're doing something like this, it really helps to not get glue on the front of the cover and everything like that. So I've got the front cover all done, and now I'm doing the inside spine. I decided to go ahead and use this printer's blocks, these printer block fabrics. It's called Stamps. It's Tim Holtz eclectic fabric. Gluing down some seams to make it look really nice and finished, and putting lots of yes paste in there, making sure I get it into the grooves because I want my fabric to get glued down inside there. And I really do like how this worked out. I like it a lot. Now I have some Tim Holtz paper pad, and this is called The World. It's like an old world map, and it's his paper pack. It's the Resist paper pack. At this point, I'm just going to use it as it is, but I need to measure it off and trim it off so that when I put it in my book, the words "the world" fall in the center of the page. Using my ruler and a knife to do that. Got to be careful with those knives. I didn't find number on my hand. I just removed the bandage from my ear the last couple of days. It can really hurt when you cut yourself. So now I'm getting ready to glue my book pages down, and here again I get out a clean piece of wax paper every time I do a glue job, and just that little extra step helps keep your paper clean. And it's 15 inches of wax paper that I don't keep it. I learned just to throw it away when I'm done. Usually I'll flip it over and try to keep it for something else, but just toss it and get out another clean one when I do the other side here. Here I'm just buffing the page down, making sure all the air bubbles are down, using my brayer to smooth it all out. Now I'm doing the other side. I really like how this book cover is turning out. In fact, it was so fun, I couldn't quit. Usually I'll put everything down and tackle it again the next day, but I was having so much fun doing this. I just kept working right through and get a good layer of Yes paste on the back of this page. Really helps to be generous with your glue when you're doing something like this. So gluing it down. Now you'll see I do other things with this cover later on, but I'm happy with how this cover turned out. I'm very proud of it. I can't wait to get the signatures in it and start using it.